everyone and welcome to Delicious Sparkly Cakes. Don't get me wrong, I really love Cinderella and Belle and all the other Disney princesses. However, I realize how much I love Mulan too, because she's powerful, she's a really strong woman. She never really wants to give up, and this is something that I really want to relate to. I do feel sometimes that I want to give up, but I don't want to, and that's why I really love her, because she's really strong, and at the end she's really managed to do what she wants. First of all, we're going to start making the head, and what we need to do is an oval, and then in the middle we're going to press it with our pinky to make some room for the eyes. Then with our indexes we're going to make 2 holes for the eyes, and they're not going to be too deep, just a little bit, so that we have a rough idea where we're going to add them. Then, as you can see, I'm trying to pull and lift a little bit this part, which is the nose, and you need to do this little by little until you're happy with it and the nose is out. The next part that we need to do is to add the nostrils, making 2 holes in it. And because Mulan has a really tiny nose, we want to actually flat this part and make the top of the nose a little bit smaller, so that she has a chunky nose just at the bottom of it. Once the nose has been done, what we need to do is to cut the mouth, and this needs to be a little bit wider than the nose. Then we need to lift the top lip a little bit with a craft knife and rub it a little bit with our finger. Using a really tiny ball tool, we're going to make a line just at the top of the lip. Now with a leaf shaper, let's try to make this part of the top lip a little bit flat, and then we want to draw the bottom lip as well. Mulan has a very big lip, however the bottom one is a little bit narrow. Now we want to make the eyes, and the first thing that we want to do is to draw them, but as you can see they're really small but a little bit long as well. Then we're going to push the fondant on the inside, so that we're going to have more room afterwards, and that we're going to add some white fondant, which is going to be as the same shape as much as possible as of the eyes as well. And now let's try to amend them a little bit and to give the Asian eye look. Mulan has black irises, so we just need to make 2 balls, press them and cut the extra part at the top of it. At the top of the eye we're going to add a small piece of black fondant to make the eyelashes, and what I like to do is to curve them a little bit at the end and cut off any extra pieces. Now as the face is a little bit too wide, what we need to do is actually cut any extra fondant, and then with our finger we're going to make a thinner chin, pushing a little bit with our thumbs and making it a little bit thinner. Now we need to add the eyebrows, which are quite thick, and we're going to put at the top of the eyes. To add the eyebrows, first of all we need to damp a little bit the part where we're going to put them, so that the fondant is going to stick a lot better, which is really thin on each side and it is thicker in the middle. To add the catches on the eyes, we're going to add 2 dots of white edible color using a very thin brush. But now let's add a little bit of color of this face, as it is a little bit too pale at the moment. And what we need to do is first of all adding some red gel paste on her lip, which is going to make a big difference already. But because I thought that this red looked a little bit too dark, I've just cleaned the brush and using the water I just took off some color. That's why it's starting to look a little bit lighter in the middle. Using this palette of edible colors, if you want to know a little bit more, I'm going to leave a link in the description box. So using one color, which is normally the one that I'm using all the time, which is the one that I prefer, I've just dusted a little bit the cheeks and the head as well. Behind Mulan's skirt, I've decided not to use a cake, but what I'm going to use instead is a dummy. And this is the one. This is part of a bigger cone, to show you now, which is this one. It's quite big, and I've been having this one for quite some times now, so I know that I'm not going to use it, plus I didn't want to buy another cone just for this particular cake topper, so I've decided to cut it and use this one instead. The reason why I'm going to use a dummy instead of a cake as a base is because first of all, it's easier to work with it. Second, because there are lots of people who prefer to have a dummy as a cake topper, so they can keep it for as long as they're going to last. In some cases, it depends where you live, and it depends where you're going to keep it. It could last even a year. This is something that people actually enjoy to have at home. To make the skirt, I already colored my fondant, and the color that I've used is this yellow from Wilton. And I must admit, on the video it looks a little bit darker, but actually it is a lot more pale. Before adding anything onto the cone, I just adding some water to it, so it will be easier for the fondant to stick with it. And what I added are white strips of fondant. I think I made 6 or 8 of them, and then I've put it all around the cone. And it doesn't matter if they're not of the same length or width, which it actually is going to be better, as they're going to look a little bit more realistic. Now that we prepared the cone, we're going to roll the yellow fondant. And what we actually want to achieve is a triangle, which is going to be better for us to cover the whole cone with it. So let's put it all around, and if it is too short, what we need to do is to pull a little bit, but not too much, otherwise it could tear apart. Then with our fingers, we want to rub it so that the white strips that we put underneath are going to show. Then we need to cut the extra fondant, as we don't need it anymore, and from the top and even from the bottom. And then we want to rub the back of the skirt with a little bit of butter as well, so that the fondant, it won't have all these kind of imperfections that at the moment you are seeing. So you need to rub it with your fingers or leaf shaper, whatever you want to use, until you get rid of all these lines. So once you're done with it, what we need to do is to pull the sides of the skirt so that it's going to look a little bit wider, as at the moment it looks a little bit too small really. Instead, we want to give a little bit of motion to the skirt as well. While the head and the skirt are drying, what we need to do is the body, and from a ball we need to actually make a cone. Then with our right hand we want to press it, and we want to press this part as well, and then we want to roll it to make the neck as well. Let's pinch a little bit here, so we're going to make better shoulders as well. To make the breasts, we're going to cut a line in the middle here, and then with the leaf shaper we're going to draw a line and draw this part of the breast. what I do is to rub it with my fingers so that the edges are going to be a little bit more round and nicer. Want to draw a line horizontally on the neck and 2 on the shoulder. Once the body has been done, we can insert a cocktail stick, really gentle. Make sure you can feel it with your fingers as well, so that if the cocktail stick is going to the wrong side, you can just pull it out and then put it back again and insert it in the right direction instead. Let's now insert the body onto the skirt, and then we can start dressing her up. First thing that we're going to put is the front top, which is just the front of it. We're not going to put this top all around the body, as we're not going to need it, as she's kind of have another jacket on top of it. So what you just need to do is to cover the front of it, really. Now let's add some details. Now what we need to do is to add some details as well, and we're going to add a small strip at the top of the top, and then another one just a little bit lower. Now is the time when we're going to wrap some green fondant all around the body, and starting from the back of the neck, so that we're going to have the same size at the front, so be careful. We're going to add a darker green piece of fondant. At the waistline, Mulan has a piece of dark blue fondant. So what we need to do is to cut an oval, and if you want, you can use any round cutter that you have. I couldn't find mine actually, so I've used a heart shape cutter, and then I put it around Mulan waistline. On top of this part, we're going to add a red belt, but first of all we're going to add a piece of the belt at the front of Mulan's skirt, and then wrap the waistline with the rest of the belt. Pinch it at the back, cut the extra fondant, and then rub it. The next step that we're going to do is making the arms, and starting again from a bowl of fresh fondant, we need to roll it, leaving the middle part a little bit thicker compared to the rest of it, and the sides of it a little bit thinner. Then fold it in half and cut it so that we're going to have exactly the same size for the arms. Now leave a little bit here for the hand. We need to roll this part so that we're going to make the part of the wrist. Between the wrist and the rest of the arm, halfway, we need to roll it again to make instead this time the part of the elbow. Flap the hand, and if needed, just roll a little bit to make the arm a little bit thinner if it is too thick, as it was mine. Now we need to cut a triangular way to make the thumb, and then we're going to make 3 cuts to make the other 4 fingers. Open the fingers a little bit more, and then pull it and make them a little bit round, but really gentle, as they're really fragile. Roll the part of the wrist so that the hand is a little bit more realistic, and it looks much better, of course. Before adding the arms, what we need to do is to add a piece of wire. This kind of wire is easily found on all cake shop suppliers, as it is used mainly to make flowers, but it is used as well to make cake toppers. So bend it like this, and then let's insert the arms. Actually, what we need to do first is to make the hole before inserting it over there. As while you have it in the hand, you can feel a little bit more where the wire is going to get, and then afterwards just water the wires a little bit, and then insert the arms really carefully. To make the top sleeve, first of all we need to roll some green fondant, and then we're going to make this kind of shape, which is almost a triangle, but as you can see it is not straight on the right one, it is a little bit more curved, and this is going to help us make the right sleeve. So now let's put it all around the arms, and then cut the extra fondant as you want a round sleeve and not a pointed one. Try to glue the sleeve on the inside as well as much as you can. However, I know it is not easy, but just do it, as obviously you want a sleeve that it looks just one piece of it. On the photo that I have of Mulan, which I'm going to put it on the description box in case you want to have a look, but I don't want to show you just in case there's copyright infringement. Mulan has just one ear, so I'm going to make an oval, just flatten a little bit and then put it on the side on the left, and then put it on the left of Mulan's head. I love painting, and when there's something to paint on a cake topper, I'm really excited. Luckily, Mulan has a lot of gold painting on her dress, so the color that I'm using is this one, Rainbow Dust, and it's edible, as you can read. Also, what I'm using is a very thin brush as well. And first of all, I'm starting painting all the edges of the belt, trying to be as precise as possible, which is not easy. However, I'm gonna show you in a minute how you can erase any unwanted painting. This is something, however, that you need to do more than once. So you put the first layer of painting and then you need to go back 2 or 3 times. It depends how the color is going to be. So, and in order to be really nice, you need to add a thin layer of painting, just like you would do for your nail varnish. Then I've added more painting around the blue feature on the waistline, and again on the belt, and then on the darker feature on top of the body, and on the sleeve as well. But the sleeve has actually 2 stripes of gold painting, and as you can see I couldn't reach very well in here, so it doesn't look really nice at all. But what I'm going to do is cleaning the brush with some water, then get rid of all the excess painting onto the brush, and with the damp brush, so don't make it too dry, just get rid of the extra painting, and every time make sure you clean the painting from the brush. And here it's me super concentrated, making sure to painting correctly. Because Mulan by now was quite dry, I've managed to hold it between my hand and paint the front of Mulan's top with some green painting. And again, if you make any mistakes, what you need to do is to clean your brush, and using a little bit of water, just get rid of the lines that you want to remove. So we're nearly done, but we still need to add some bits and pieces. And one of the things that it is really important and that is going to make a big difference is adding the hair. And you're going to see kind of a magic happening, because the cake topper, once we're going to add the hair, is going to look more alive. We're kind of going to divide the hair into different pieces. So first of all, we need to roll some black fondant, and then this is kind of triangle shape, but it's not, but you know what I mean, I hope. And then we're going to get rid of one piece of hair like this, make lots of lines to make the hair lines, and then making more cuts to open the hair a little bit more. Then put this piece of black fondant the other way around and again draw some hair lines. and with some water we need to put them at the back of the head and hold it with your fingers until the fondant gets stick onto the head. Be patient and it could take a few seconds. Now we're going to make the top of the hair, and what we need to do is starting from a ball, then going around and make it thinner, and sometimes try it onto the head if it is wide enough. If not, just keep rolling it like this and then just stick it onto the head like this. Don't forget that on the left side the ear is going to be visible. Instead, on the right you want the fondant to cover the part of where the ear should be, even if we haven't done it. At the front I've added a piece of black fondant, which you're going to see on the photo, from the photo that I've taken this Mulan, which is nice and all curved. Now let's put an oval at the top of the hair, and then let's draw lots of lines to make the hair effect. I wasn't sure about this piece of hair at the front of it, as I really wanted to look more in the photo, and it is also nice and curved. So what I've thought to do is to add some pins underneath where no one actually can see any holes, and so meanwhile the black fondant is going to dry. It's going to have this nice shape. The last thing that we need to do is to make some decorations onto the hair, and we want to start from a yellow piece of fondant. We're going to make a kind of a triangle shape, and we're going to make 4 cuts and make it round edges. Then using the ball tool, the small one, we want to make 5 holes, 1 for each piece of this yellow decoration. Then we need to paint it with some gold edible color, and again you might need to do this more than once to make sure that the gold it is really showing. Once the gold painting is dry, then we're going to add some red balls inside each hole, and then we can put it at the top of the head, which it looks already much nicer, I think, don't you think? Then on the left I've added 2 small pieces of wire, and at the end of each piece I've added 2 balls of yellow fondant, and finally I've painted them again using the same gold edible painting that I've got. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, don't forget to give me a thumbs up so that you can help me grow this channel. Also for you, I've made a PDF. It's a free PDF that you can download down in the description box, and it's how I make cake toppers from scratch. So if you're interested about it, just the link is underneath this video. But it's all for now, and don't forget to be creative and have fun. See you until next time. Bye bye.